evening. Good evening. Welcome to Higher Definition Radio. What a panel we have assembled. Really excited about this group and about our conversation. And I've said this multiple times. If you watch a lot of our shows, we kind of stay on the fringes of politics for a lot of different reasons. And number one is my control and anger issues won't let me be friends with you if I think you're racist, sexist. So I try to stay away from it to remain friendships. And during COVID, I lost a lot of. I ain't gonna say they were friends, but people I graduated high school with, went to school with. Cause yeah, we ain't talking the same. If your whole get down on life is all them other black people bad and you just a good one out of the bunch, nah, I can't go with that. So want to welcome everyone to High Definition with our special guests Don, Erica, and Nikita, and y'all know Marlon. But I'm gonna find out from Marlon. Marlon just, we still talking about his Greece vacation from a month ago. We gonna keep talking about it because he big timing. Marlon, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good, man. Want to looking forward to a great show. Want to thank the ladies for joining us tonight. Looks like me and Lamont a little outnumbered here, so we'll see how it goes. But I also want to thank everyone for tuning in. Had a great week. Thanking God for another week, and like I said, just thankful to be in the number, brother. Appreciate you having me on.
And since Dawn joined us last week and her enthusiasm was so great, we better go to Dawn next. And she's smiling and talking about money all weekend. Dawn, how are you, ma'am?
I am doing wonderful. Excited to be here today. Real, yeah, pumped about the conversation.
I could tell from last week's show you were the first one to jump on, and we'll talk about that in a second about raising money. So definitely interesting times. And Erica, I ain't saw you in a while, but if I had to mimic a life out here in these streets, it'll be your life. You are everywhere, and it ain't in the cheap seats where I see you hanging out at. How are you, ma'am?
Good, good. And I'm so glad you asked me to come back on. And it's been a while since I've seen a lot of the panelists and as well as you and Marlon.
We appreciate it. Yeah. You jet setting. You need to be on one of these telethons or something when they taking up money because you are everywhere, ma'am. Then last but not least, my church member, a friend, someone who's been out here on this campaigning block for quite a while, and just so happened a delegate. And I don't think I've ever known a delegate before. I always wonder where these magical people come from that they say they delegates. But how are you, Miss Nikita?
I'm doing well. Thank you guys for inviting me on here and to be amongst these wonderful ladies as well. Had a long weekend myself. Back to school bash, participating with North Central Family Medicine. Had thousands, looked like over 2,000 kids there, and then participated. There's a group called the York County Women's Democratic Council. They have their annual tea every year. It's called the Bessie Moody Lawrence Scholarship Fund. And so I was the guest speaker, keynote speaker for that. So that was amazing.
Awesome.
Yes.
Y'all make me feel like I ain't doing enough in this world.
That's what I'm saying. I ain't been no guest speaker nowhere. You know what I'm saying? What I got to do to be a guest speaker.
Just get out there, Molly. You're already there.
Yeah, but that's awesome work, Nikita.
I'm going to start with Dawn first because her enthusiasm I saw over the last week. But let me set the table. I think over the last month, this country has went through a lot of political angst and headaches and stress over who's running, who's not running. Are we stepping down? Are we stepping up? We had a attempted assassination happen. And then last Sunday, the whole bottom dropped out. We had the sitting president said he would not run or seek another term in office, which hasn't happened, I think, in 40 or 50 years. So it's not unprecedented, and it's calls for that. I want to talk to Nikita about her delegate vote. But to see so many women mobilize so quick. Dawn, how have you been feeling over this last month?
So I literally got off our Zoom and hopped on the call that ended up being the 44,000 women.
Wow.
And when people talk about this momentous occasion, they say, "Where were you?" Like I literally remember at 1:58 p.m. I was going to the food stand buy my weekly, vegetables, and I get a Yahoo Finance, little updates, and it said, the stock market's about to go crazy, basically, because Biden just dropped out, and I'm going, what? So I have a group of women that I'm plugged into. They're very aware of everything, and my phone just started booming. I mean, text after text after text. I got about 6 invitations to that call that was happening that night. And I hadn't even really processed what that really meant, but you didn't have to process it because there were some women who already processed it and they were moving fast. If you were on that call, if you had any doubts that it was a possibility, they made you feel like this is our time. So yeah, I was pumped up.
And Erica, a business owner, someone who does a lot in the community, former educator also. How has your last month been in this political roller coaster?
It has been a ride. There's been a lot of highs and lows to everything, and you wonder what's reality and what is in this imaginary TV world.
No, that makes sense. I think when I first saw the news and Everett is on top of everything, Everett was calling me. So I knew something important, and then it was the breaking news story. And man, they kill off Sinbad like every week. So I'm still not sure what's real at times. I got to see verifiable sources when I see people have passed away. So, Erica, I sympathize with you because you don't know what's real in this world. And not even getting into this attempted assassination. There's 1,000 conspiracy theories going on about that too. Nikita, how has
Yeah.
your world been as a delegate?
It has really been overwhelming and exciting in the same because this is the first time I'm a delegate to the DNC, first time going. So just the excitement of figuring out and receiving information about what's about to happen. And like you say, we get this word on last Sunday that our wonderful President Biden is not seeking a re-election. Being a delegate, you're receiving information from the DNC every day, multiple times a day, keeping you updated. And we had a meeting of the delegates of South Carolina scheduled for Sunday already. So the way that meeting was supposed to take place, it went totally opposite because we had to reel in what had just happened earlier, hours prior to. So, all the text, like Dawn say, all the text messages, all the phone calls. I'm getting messages from people that I haven't spoken with in probably a year or so, and they're saying, Nikita, what are we going to do? And all this other kind of stuff. So it was very interesting. And I will say, prior to that, we had a volunteer drop-in at the York County Democratic Party headquarters that Saturday. And a lot of people were saying, Nikita, what are we going to do? How are we going to encourage people? And I told them one thing that my grandfather used to tell us, y'all young folks don't know how to stand the test of time in troubled times. And so that was the message that I gave to the group on Saturday, June the 20th. We got to know how to stand during troubled times. And that will tell the character of you standing in the test of time.
Nikita, I'm going to be transparent with you. You're like one of these unicorns. Like, I didn't know anybody that had the Nelson rating box. And then I finally met somebody, and I know some young people don't have no idea what I'm talking about. And now to know a delegate, like, how are you chosen to be a delegate? Like, I know no one who's ever been a delegate. So on any political side, how are you chosen to be a delegate?
So, there is a process. So you have your county party convention, which is the York County Democratic Party. Then you have your state party convention. And so you have to attend, or you have to vote in the primaries. You have to attend your county party convention. You have to attend the state party convention. And then at the state party convention, they give you information about being a delegate. So what you're now doing, you're now a candidate because you're going around to different people in your delegation. And so we're in the SC5s, the 5th Congressional District. So I had to go out and solicit their and ask for their vote to vote for me to be a delegate to the National Democratic Convention. And so we had election on May 8th. So from that prior to, you're calling people, sending email, I would like to have your vote to be a delegate to the DNC. And successfully, I was elected to go to the DNC. So we have 4 people from York County, but we have a total of 10 or 11 from the 5th Congressional District going to the DNC this year.
No, and I hope people like and share this show because it's educational. Like I had no clue, no joke, no clue. I just know they always talk about delegates and they voting. I had no clue who these people are in this world.
Yeah.
Marlon, we wrestled with 2 weeks ago. We had a show planned, and then assassination attempt happened. And we were like, should we change our show? And I'm like, nah, let's stay away from this. Because it was playing itself out and you don't know the outcome of it. So how was your month been from an individual and how we look at the show on what content we put out?
Yeah, there's been a lot to happen in a short amount of time. I will say, to kind of piggyback what you were stating, Lamont, I remember Everett dropping that in the higher definition chat when President Biden dropped out, and even myself, I was like, that's BS. I went and looked on CNN. You have to fact check like we talked about now. So I went to make sure it was true, and then when I saw that it was true, honestly, my heart sunk because I was just like, I was doubtful at the time that, would they embrace, whoever the next person would be, which, obviously we know who that is, and who it should have been. But I was like, is the country ready for that? Will she get that support? And to see how that's been going over the past, few weeks, it's been tremendous. It's almost like you talked about prior to the show, Lamont, kind of on steroids. I saw something earlier today. I think Obama's whole campaign raised 150 million, and she's done 250 in a week. And somebody correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I thought I saw that stated, and I was just like, for her to have that much momentum, man, it's for me, it makes me hopeful. Because a lot of times my thought process was, hey, Joe gonna stick through it. They're gonna just stay behind him, push him on through, almost just like that, 12th grader in high school can't read, but we're gonna go ahead and graduate him and pass him. When he was losing all the support and stuff like that, which I still would have supported him, but at the same time, I just didn't see him dropping out. Just my honest opinion on that. I didn't think that would happen.
And I'm gonna go with Erica on this question. A simple question: are we ready? Is this country ready for a female president?
I feel like now is the time. What other time could be greater than now?
No, this makes sense. And I've had this conversation with men, but I'll say that after we come around once. Don, is this country ready for a female president?
I agree with Erica. If not now, then when? The mood that I have now is Kamala. I was surprised, to be honest with you, how quickly and how much and how many people turned out to support and was willing to donate money. So I think what we're seeing here is that, we've heard the loud and the proud, speak up. I think, the other candidate has given some people who may have been suppressed or felt like they didn't have a space or a platform to express how they really felt. So when he opened the door, they were loud and proud, and that's all we heard. But there's a very, silent group of people who are intellectuals. They don't feel the need to blow horn or say what they feel or be on social media that we don't hear from and we don't see. And I think we get misguided and misled on who really is in this country, because we have, probably a very silent majority. So I think what we see is when we saw a candidate that was making people feel good again. That's my slogan right now. Kamala Harris is making people feel good again, and we're seeing that silent majority say, "She makes me feel good. I'm ready to speak up. I'm ready to share what I've been feeling for a long time." And maybe not feel that they had the platform or the right person to put their voice behind.
Spoken like a true lady, true woman. Just making up campaign slogans, just making up stuff. Okay, all right. Thank you, Dan. Powerful. Like, let me be clear: the three women that we have on this panel are very powerful women in our community, moving forces to get a lot of stuff done, who spearhead a lot of events. So I know people watch us from different states and different areas, but please do not be mistaken on the women that's on this panel and what they represent. So if Don wants to just make up campaign slogans and come out the gate with stuff, I guess I'm good with it. Nikita, is this country ready for a female president?
I'm like Dawn and Erica. The time is now. We wasn't ready for a African American male president, but that happened. And look at the great possibilities and the great things that happened through his presidency. And you have to look at what's happening. We have a lot of women leaders in leadership roles who are doing well for themselves. So we can't discount that there are great women who are leading in politics, businesses. Women been leading for a long, long time. Take a look at your households and see how well households are being ran. So yeah, it's time. It's been time.
Nikita, you did the one thing that went a step too far, and that's gonna tie me into Marlon. Now I've been going to this barbershop for a long time, and including Friday. And I don't know if a lot of black men are sold on this idea of a woman. And not to betray anything that was discussed at Pastor Ed's men's breakfast yesterday, but this topic came up also. And I can tell you there's some shakiness, and it's exactly what you just said. Women running something. And I know you ain't saying it that way. Marlon, are we ready?
Well, let me say this before you move on to Marlon. Let's think about all the great men who are in leadership roles. They had support of strong women that had their backs, that supported them and them being great. So, you have women that are support system leaders. And so why not? Why not now?
Mm-hmm.
Let me give you the back to that story. So you're making an excellent point, but the fear a lot of men have had, especially black men, is they see African American women climb the ladder, and black men have supported them in those endeavors, whether it's college education or supporting from a job structure. It seems to some black men when black women get elevated or to a higher position, now they're looking down on black men as, oh, you only work at this type of job, oh, you only do this. So, Marlon, am I wrong or am I misreading the tea leaves on this conversation?
Well, I will agree with the women on the panel as far as the timing. I will say, we probably won't see this for another 100 years, maybe. You know what I mean? As far as having the opportunity to have a, black and female president. I can say, Lamont, as far as rumblings at barbershops, even social media, I was surprised at the amount of, people that are against her as well. And as far as feeding into some of the, rhetoric as far as, not being qualified. I think we talked about earlier, and we'll kind of get into that, not being black enough, things like that. But I will say I can't really say it's split down the middle because I haven't really been checking it, polling and stuff like that, as far as if she's leading or whatnot, as far as preliminary stuff they've done. But I would say, I'm definitely in support, Lamont, but it's like, we can raise all this money, we can talk all this talk, but women are known to get out and vote, over men. So I mean, I know she has a big surplus as it relates to that, but I say the walk has to be walked in November. We can do all this yapping and saying it's time and she can this and that and the other, but probably Nikita know better than anyone else. You can do all of this campaigning, but if people don't show up, it's a moot point. So that's just my opinion.
No, it's a great point, and it looked like Nikita was going to say something else. I do want to spin around back to that topic, like, Marlon, I saw your wife had a comment. She's right. The statement is probably false in most cases, but it's how people feel, and most people react off their feelings and emotions, and that's no different from them going to vote to go vote. They're reacting off emotion. Kamala Harris makes me feel good. Forget her policy. She ain't this. Like, in the same way with Donald Trump, he makes people feel good to if that's your thing. So people are reacting off emotion. Did you want to add something, Nikita? Seemed like you did.
Well, just whenever Marlon was talking, and then I saw his wife's statement, and I wanted to type something in. But the thought that came to my mind was, "Are you evenly yoked with your spouse?" Because if that's the case, then why should that be a issue? That's what I had.
Erica, did you have anything else on that? Or you think I'm in the minority on what I hear men saying?
Well, I think it goes back to their personal relationships versus what you're doing in the political and the business sector. So when they think of women, they translate it to the relationships that they've personally had, romantic relationships with females. And sometimes females do carry over their business side into their personal relationship, and they confuse the dynamics, and it makes it harder to have personal relationships. But I think that when you have those boundaries and you understand, like you said, the leadership role of the household versus what you do in business life, women, and this is getting into relationship stuff, that men need respect where women need love. So I think that they're taking it out into the professional sector because of their own personal experiences.
No, and I appreciate that comment. Don, I ain't gonna leave you out because you and change the campaign slogan. I guess you can modify "Yes, we can" also and do something with that. But what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, we do know. I mean, I think Erica hit the nail on the head that when you hear those statements, it's really surrounding probably some emotional experiences that people are having. I was on the call that was Win with Black Men. So we had the Win with Black Women that Sunday. I think a day or two later, we had the men on the call. And I just heard some really inspirational conversation with Black men saying, yeah, let's not let somebody else tell our story, tell our narrative, and encouraging the brothers on the call to say, hey, if you hear somebody talking like that, you need to pull them to the side and have a conversation. So I'm just encouraged by the number of men who are stepping up in this space, leading in this initiative to say, I'm good with it, and willing to have conversations with other men who might be on the fence or having some challenges, and encouraging, everyone to have a conversation. And one of the men on that call said he was asking Black men to don't look at this as about a woman, but look at it as about your Black family. What about your mother? What about your daughter? So if you're saying that, what are you telling your daughter? That there are limitations on what she can do? So he was really pushing men to really challenge that emotion that might make them feel that way and pull back and say, think about your family and vote for your family, and who's going to be the better person that's going to help your family succeed and our community succeed. So the language that I was hearing was just really encouraging. So again, I think, everybody likes to get social media stirred up. And so when you hear those comments, people want to get a laugh, they want to get likes, they want to start controversy. So I can see that sentiment being blown out of proportion a little bit. Not to say it's not real. It's a real thing, but it's an emotional thing. And I believe in my brothers that we can rise above.
Don, I'm starting to think you running for something.
I wanted to add too that there's a group called White Men for Harris. And and people are showing the different genders, the different support groups. And that are just coming out of everywhere. I mean, Nikki Haley did a cease and desist to the group for her voters that are rallying around Harris right now. So I think that the people are speaking, even though the votes are not in yet. And I think that the amount of money that has been raised also speaks volumes to the change that's needed and wanted by the greater majority.
No, I 100% agree. I think the enthusiasm. I've saw about 5 flyers for these sneaker balls. I know the AKA is gonna be out there. I know,
Hey, just
you know
remember our DJ. I just
the,
did one, so hire me.
the Deltas are gonna be out there. But we need to get away from these sneaker balls. Listen here, ladies. This is my campaign slogan. If you can't trust your ankles, I can't trust you. So I don't need to see Kamala Harris showing up in no Chuck Taylors. I need to see some heels. None of this sneaker ball stuff. We need to retire that. Okay, that's my last comment as a man. But
Well,
yeah, we need to
well,
retire.
yesterday, Lamont, when I was the keynote speaker, I had my Chuck Taylors and pearls on, sir.
Ladies, this is my campaign slogan. If you don't trust your ankles, I can't trust you. 2024. So let's get this together. I don't know. Some older person invented these sneaker balls. I know we're no young body young, and we just going in circles with it. We need to stop it. All right, Marlon, I want to ask you a question. Um, Man, it seems like politics is really mixed with church all of a sudden. And it's one of those things that used to happen when you have politicians come to churches and they would give their spiel, but you don't see that anymore, especially in the black church. Do you feel like we might be heading to we need to do that, or it's a realm too far to miss church and politics, regardless on what color the person is or what gender the person is?
I mean, that's a great question, Lamont. That did kind of go away because I remember they would come to the church back in the day. Pastor give them a few minutes in the pulpit to try to get your vote. I don't know if y'all remember that old school, even local politicians and stuff like that. I know it's supposed to be separation of church and state, but I would say, you know, it's definitely necessary. I think the climate of this country, man, as far as, you know, who what and who we believe in, you know, how many things have been politically taken out of our schools that will shape our generations, our families, and things like that. I think that's very important. I think we've gotten, you know, too much away from that, where it's, you know, it's separated, which has caused so much division in our country. I think you talked about, Lamont. You know, you think about, was it 2016 with Trump, and you know, you lost. I mean, I lost some people that I went to school with as far as best friends, you know, just Facebook posts and the hatred, and people that I thought I knew were a certain way. And some of the things that were posted, it just, you know, kind of surprised me. But, you know, going back to church and things like that, you know, I think that that should happen, man, because I think it's very important. Because, you know, you think the two gotta go hand in hand. Even you talk about now, whoever gets elected, our folk, we're gonna say, well, we just gonna put it in God's hand, and no matter who gets elected, I know who holds the power. So I would say with that, brother, I think it is important. I think we need to implement that. We need to go back to those roots because they're very important, and I would want to know where someone I'm electing stands with God.
Excellent point. Don, you think church and politics are finna collide here in a major way in the next 100 days?
I don't know why they ever got divided. I mean, the civil rights movement took place, in church, and it was led. I mean, that's where Black people congregated. That was the place where you knew that you could go and see a large number of African Americans. So, um, I don't know why we would get away from that. It served us well in the past, and I think it can continue. And maybe some of the challenges that we see are because we got away from that. But I do think that that's where we get educated, informed, trained, um, get the confidence to know how to speak, to have influence. All those things started with that church poem that you had to do on Easter Sunday, and that's where our politicians were born.
Psalms 100. Make a joyful noise unto the Lord. I'm telling you, that was my Easter speech when I was like 10. and I got a few whoopings because I couldn't get right. I couldn't, and you're absolutely right. And that scripture has never left my head. I can recite that, but it gave me confidence to stand up. But I couldn't get that thing right for nothing.
And
Erica,
Lamont, it was almost church was like the Apollo. You know what I'm saying? You get tested. You know what I'm saying? You rub that rock, you go out, and depending on how the crowd take you, you know what I mean? So it was a testing grounds back then.
Take your time, baby. It's all right.
Yeah.
Erica, are we doing a little too much, or do you see the world of politics and church colliding in the near future?
I'm going to go in a different direction with my answer. And I've seen a comment from Frederick Thompson here. The church is not as influential as it was in past times. So I think, and then God gives us free will, and we have to conduct ourselves accordingly. But He gives us the freedom to choose. So I don't think that we needed to collide, that, you know, people are breaking away from the church. People are not going to, they're breaking away from denominations. Denominations are going away. So this is going to come back to free will. And God gives us the option, and we're living off grace rather than the laws of the Bible. So you have to conduct yourself accordingly. And is the church a source to get information? Yes. Is it a great? It's just like another civic organization, like a Delta Sigma Theta or sororities that's disseminating information to people to educate them about certain things. But I don't think that our churches have as much influence, because a lot of people don't trust the church. They're even getting away from biblical things when you have a pastor and a first male man. I mean, so where does their credibility lie?
No, very interesting points. And to be honest, I agree that, and with Minister Fred, what he posted, the church doesn't have the credibility, and it's eroded over time. And now when you need it to be that center of source of truth, and Marlon's point, it's going to be just pray about it, you know, however it turn out. But no, we need to educate folks. We need to explain to them what their one vote means, what the consequence they can make. And sitting at home is not the option. Like, and let me say this, especially for Black people, nobody else talking. Man, those folks died for our rights to vote, who lost their lives, who were crippled, maimed, for the right that we have to vote. So it is discouraging to see sometimes with African Americans numbers so low in turnouts, even within my county, my city.
Oh yeah.
Man, we got to do better than this. We like Rock Hill is one of those civil rights spots, and we just act like just 1 or 2 generations removed. We act like that folks didn't lose their life for our privilege. Nikita, and we both attend the same church, and our church is very historical. One of those churches started right after slavery. And we have a long-standing pastors who lead us for 30 plus years, and a lot of family orientation within our church. So this family, that family. Do you think our politics and our church will collide?
I'm not sure that it will. I'm hopeful that we will, because as Marlon stated before, and as you alluded to, the churches in Dawn, the churches where we got our information from. And I think we got too relaxed and becoming that we kind of forgot and laid it down to the side. But that's where all your information came from. And like you stated, if you look at Rock Hill, was very instrumental in the civil rights movement, the civil rights era. A lot of great things happened in this time, and it was because of the pastors here. One in particular, Reverend Cecil Ivory. You know, he had John the Freedom Bus Riders, you know, all of those things happen right here in Rock Hill. And so we have gotten away from that after the 60s and the 70s. And you know, it was indoctrinated in us that you got to separate church and politics. But the others haven't. They still do it. They still pass information along amongst themselves. But we've gotten away from that. And I think we need to go back to our grassroots and our ground roots and go back, because during those time period, you know, we were we were educational. We knew what was going on, and we helped one another, and information was passed along. And so I think, yes, the churches do need to do put forth a better effort in providing information about politics, because if not, we're going to continue down the path that we're coming from, and it's not going to look good. Look at all those things that they're taken away, like Marlon stated, the things that they're taking away from school. We're no longer being able to learn about African American history, but you didn't take European history out of school. You didn't take Asian history out of school. You only took African American history out of school. So you don't want people to learn about their heritage. You know, look at what they're doing to DEY. You know, they're getting rid of that. You know, so there are a lot of things that we need to get back to so that we can have a better stake in what's going on in our future, as well as this political race that's going on.
It sounds like all the ladies on the panel are running from something. Let me know when you form your campaigns. I'm here to vote for you.
Yeah, somebody about to announce tonight for the show. I think it's gonna be Dawn, but we'll see.
I'm a huge supporter. I do want to stay married, so that my husband has drawn the line. So you can go and doing that other stuff, but he doesn't want to go to jail, so he's like, it's best that you not throw your hat in the ring. And we can't forget, to Nikita's point, about the local people who will be on the ballot. You know, we have a school board election coming up, and there are 5 seats.
Yes.
Out of 7. So I'm a big fan of no one should run unopposed, because you need to inform people. Someone needs to question you about your prior term, and you need to defend it. And so, you know, eyes wide open, people. It's right. Not just about the presidential election either.
That's right.
And let me say this, because I know we have people watching and joining that are not African American. And when you see, like I say, this great panel of women assembled who are very powerful within our community, York County, the Lancaster County area, please use this opportunity to learn and embrace as some of these topics come up, because I'm sure it floats around inside your circles also. And it's a better position to be informed on what people are talking about and how they really, really feel about these topics. And Marlon brought this up. I brought it up that, no, this last term with our former president, I lost people that I thought I knew who came across very something else than what I actually knew or what I thought about. And that's more scary than anything, when you think you know someone for 30, 40 years and they become some other creature just because politics is going on. I do want to have one of these silent conversations out loud. And I'm going to start with Marlon. Marlon probably can take this in stride, and while Nikita's working on our campaign slogan, and Don is too, and Erica getting the business part right. Colorism within the African-American race. We saw it with President Obama, and we're seeing it here with Kamala Harris. She's not black enough. No matter what she does, somebody out here black thinks it's a photo op. She's putting hot sauce on her greens. That's fake. Like, what are we doing here with this colorism within the black community?
I mean, you know, we did a show on colorism of mine, and I think, you know, the lighter the skin, the more judgment is probably going to be there. Like you said, but, you know, you trace your roots, you got African-American in you, you're African-American. But I would say this, man, even going back to my children, my son, Trayvon, who was the lightest of all my children, right? Even when he was going as junior high school, when I would tell you this, my son would literally get invited to some of the higher up households, better neighborhoods, things like that. And it was almost, you could see the difference because it didn't happen with my other children because they were, more brown skinned and darker, but he was accepted more, by Caucasian families than my other children would be because of how light he was. It almost seemed like with him being lighter, it was just more accepted. So I give that example to say, I think, a lot of times when our race sees fair skin or lighter skin and things like that, they think more so you aren't black enough. You don't have enough, pigmentation to qualify to be considered black, which to me is silly. But I mean, when you research this, you look at colorism, the show we did on that, I mean, it's real, and it happens from even not being light skinned to always being too dark, when you talk about just colorism, period. But testing someone's black card, it's to me it's silly, and no one should have to feel like they have to prove that they're black, for that. But I will say, it's definitely more accepted in society, and from my experience, I'm not speaking for everyone. And like my wife says, as a darker person, she knows for a fact that lighter people are accepted overall, especially in other races. And that's what I've experienced. But I would say, Lamont, as far as, from them, trying to, all this stuff that they talked about with Obama, and then now the same with, Ms. Harris, it's like, I don't think that will ever stop for that. But for me, you have nothing to prove. I think what they pulling Obama's DNA, and not DNA, but his history and stuff like that, was trying to research back into whatever archive to try to prove that he wasn't black and things like that. So it's just reaching to me, man. And I think it's definitely unnecessary. But honestly, our own people do it to each other, which is sad.
Erica, shots fired from within. Like, it's enough we got to worry about. Now we got to worry about if we black enough. Like, did you watch Car Wash? Have you saw the Temptations, the 5 Heartbeats?
Soul Plane.
Yeah, Soul Plane.
And even the texture of your hair.
Facts.
Yeah.
That you have to combat that. But I think with Miss Harris, it's what she did in California prior that is giving some people a cause for pause with, is she black enough, through her stance on drugs previously, and also by her being married to a Caucasian. I think those are the two biggest things that I've seen that has, made people think, is she black enough, or is she just using black people when it's convenient for her? Even when she ran on the Biden ticket, that was some of the hesitation that people had.
Yeah, she's supposed to be walking around smelling like cocoa butter, Lamont.
Everyone is probably laughing when you say that, but I'm telling you, there's a set of black people that are locked and loaded on this topic about color. And let's be completely transparent and honest. Like, we talking about, is America ready for a woman, or was America ready for Barack Obama? To be able to palletize seeing black people in leadership positions is probably a certain look that is appealing and a certain act. If you look at the current ads that are on TV, and we're close enough to the Charlotte market to get North Carolina's Lieutenant Governor Robinson on. He's loud. He's yelling all the time. Nah, most of America ain't trying to hear that. Like, that makes people afraid. So we definitely got to be careful with that. Nikita, colorism within, the shots fired within. Have you saw Soul Plane? Let me ask you that first, because your delegate card might have to be pulled.
Right, straight out of Compton.
Yeah,
Love Jones.
The Last Dragon.
I have seen. I haven't seen Soul. I probably have seen Soul Food, but it's not one of those ones that's memorable to me. So, but yeah, all the other ones I've seen them. I'm in there.
Colorism.
You know how to play spades?
I
Yo.
do.
Ooh.
I do. And
I almost had
well,
my card taken because I don't know how to play spades. But Lamont, I'll
Sorry.
outside
Colorism.
bar that.
Do you think we're doing a little too much on that topic? Because it seems to be a topic within the Black community.
you know, anything that and I come from a place of positivity. So anything that's not having a positive light on a situation, I try not to involve or indulge in, because to me it's just a waste of time. Faith without works is dead. Show me what you're working with. And yeah, people are using that, but we got bigger things to focus on. I think if we redirect what our mindset is and what our focus is, we'll see a whole totally different. You know, is Marlon black enough? Who am I to judge Marlon? I'm not living in Marlon's household. I'm not paying his bills. I'm not taking care of him. But if he needed some help, I could point him in the direction of where to go get that help. So that's just my take on it.
Keita, I was rocking with you as the delegate representing me until you said, listen here, if you don't meet people where they are, no matter how low they trying to pull you, and explain yourself and defend it, and we've learned that through our 2016 election. People were trying to take this high road and not say anything back and not take any shot. I'm telling you, you got to meet people where they are. And sometimes they're on the bottom of your shoe, but you got to go down there with them and let them know you ain't tolerating it. Sorry about that, Don. And I hope that is a campaign lesson learned.
Yeah, and I do, but there are other bigger issues that bigger fish we have to fry. And if because guess what? If your mind is already there, who am I to change it? If that's been your belief system, how am I I can tell you what has worked for me. And I hope seeing the things that I've done and I've accomplished, or that would say, hey, let me see what's going on that side and how I can get it to work for me. But don't get me wrong, by no means I'm all in. I'm Vaseline on my face, whenever I need to be. But there are 4 issues. The issues such as they're taking African American history out of schools, doing away with DEI. There are 4 more other issues, present issues that we as African American are missing. And these things are happening and slipping by us, all because we're worried about some other things that it should be of less importance. Like Dawn stated, look what's happening in our school system. Y'all, we really gotta pay attention to what's going on.
And Lamont's new campaign slogan, they go low, we go lower.
I was just about to say, I love Michelle Obama, what she stood for, but she misled a whole generation of folks who talk about go high when they go low. That doesn't work in politics, and that don't work. We saw how that plays out. You're gonna take all these blows. Someone else is going to define you as evil and all this, and you ain't said nothing. You taking the old church thing. Yeah, you can't say anything. God will fight my battles. Nah, we better both be in there fighting these battles because we got some stuff to do. Sorry, Don. Colorism.
Actually, that breaks my heart. Hurt people. I think that, I've known the lighter hue of our sisters who have been traumatically hurt by their own people, by not feeling accepted. And then I know those of a darker hue who have had traumatic experiences that they carry with them today,
Yes.
how they were treated,
Yes.
and the darker person in the family. So I just wish we would stop. I just wish we would just I spent 3 weeks in Portugal recently, and the most beautiful experience that I had was all these tones of people. And whenever they would walk up to us, they were speaking another language because they didn't make an assumption about who we were or where we came from. And we would ask them, do you speak English? And they're like, oh, yeah, I speak English. But they didn't just come up to us and start speaking English, assuming we were American, assuming we were Black, assuming that we were anything. They spoke their language to us, seeing if we can communicate back. And then and if they didn't speak English, then we found another way to communicate. So that was just really, really awesome to just have someone, um, people of a variety of shades. I've never seen so many different shades of people speaking so many different languages in one space. So I just wish we would just get back to how do we communicate with each other more effectively? How do we show more love? And let's move on. I mean, I was hoping that that was dead when we went through with Obama. So I really hate the fact that it's resurfacing.
No, I think I agree with everyone. When we all, as African Americans, know people who are deeply hurt. Don, you made some great points. Either you too light, you catching it, or you too dark, you catching it. So I hope this is one thing dies out. I saw one in the comments say it probably will not. It's kind of one of those things. And then we got to be cognizant also that we're probably all mixed up with something. Whether we recognize it or not, we don't look like people from West Africa or Central. We just don't. And it's a reason because we have been mixed over the course of that 400 years to what we are now. So we all need to be careful with that. Erica, how do we get more people out to vote? Like I hear people talking, and I hope this is a record turnout, regardless who it turns out to be. But how do we engage people to actually take the time to make their vote count?
I think now with the Project 2025 and pointing out the things that are included in that will directly affect them, because most people say, oh, I don't vote because it doesn't affect me. But if you look at Project 2025, there is something somewhere in there that is going to affect every person's life in some kind of way. And I think that it will impact your life negatively. Like they've got a part in there with the 180, with 160 work hours a month. So then that way employers can avoid paying you overtime. So your middle class workers who enjoy their overtime, that this Project 2025 could easily take that away from you. And some people use that for $20,000 to $30,000 a year of additional salary to make ends meet. I just think that if the writing isn't on the wall with Project 2025, there's nothing that could get to people at this point. You're basically fighting for your life in this election.
Man, you bring up a good point. Like before Kamala Harris, even non-impressive campaign that was being ran by Mr. Biden. I understand he's an incumbent. He can run a little different. You heard about Project 2025, and you heard all the things. Like as a veteran, a disabled veteran, I heard veterans going off about this. I'm like, nah. Usually, if you know anything about veterans, the vocal ones, they are very hard leaning Republican, like very hard. They have a big stake in the White House and how policies for veterans are set. When you start hearing that going around, like, man, this is a little different. And then you start picking apart some of the different things. What Project 2025 says to me, and it's a conversation I have with Everett a lot, there are a lot of think tanks out there, whether it's Brookings Institute, I can probably name 10. All of them are white male led and have the think tank policies of a majority in this country. There has to be a formation of a large think tank group like Brookings, because that's where a lot of your policies come from. The whole Supreme Court list that Donald Trump enacted, that was from one of those think tank groups that gave him a list that says this is what we want. Like, so as advanced as we get, a think tank located in Washington, D.C., and if what I'm saying doesn't make sense, please Google think tanks, and it will make perfect sense. A lot of the policies come from that. Nikita, as a delegate, what do we need to do is get more people out to vote?
One, we need to know that and this is a push that I'm pushing, and I didn't say that I'm the chair of the York County Democratic Party as well. And so with that, we're trying to push that If you have someone or know someone who will be 18 before November the 5th, they have until October 5th to become a registered voter to be able to vote in the November election. So that's a must and a first. One thing that we can do, and this is something that I'm pushing with groups that I talk with, absentee ballot votes. If you have a family member who is on the sick and shut in list at your church, a family member that's not mobile, who is able to get out, if you have a family member that's in the nursing home, people, they still have a right to vote, and they can vote by casting an absentee ballot vote. All you have to do is go and fill out an application to have, you have to fill out a request to have that absentee ballot mailed out to you. It's a process. You got to do it, but and I promise you, it can change the direction and the trajectory of politics here locally as well as nationally. We just got to start doing those things. We have to be able to get people to the polls. We have people who are willing to take people to the polls to vote. All we're asking is that you call the York County Democratic Party headquarters and tell us what time to come pick you up. We'll have someone that has been through a background check is safe to come to your home and pick you up and take you to the polls and to get you home safely. We have to get our friends, our family members, let's go out and vote. All these back to school bashes that's happening, we can go to these back to school bash, we can go to these sneaker balls, Lamont, but we will not get out and vote. And I promise you, if we can take 4 hours to go to a sneaker ball, you can take less 2 to 5 minutes to go and cast your vote, depending on what time you go. But hey, that's all it takes. 2 minutes to go cast your vote, and it's going to affect your life in a tremendous way. Having these kitchen conversations, gathering up your friends. If you can meet up and go to a party, let's meet up and go to the polls. How about that? That's something we can do. We just got to encourage people. If you did a crime, if you've been convicted, you served your time, you don't owe restitution, you can go and apply to become a registered voter. There are so many ways and things that we can do to encourage people. But guess what? With this election, people, you got to vote like your life depends on it, because your life truly do depend on it.
Don, I know you got a campaign spiel rolled out too.
I do.
How do we get people out to vote? What do we need to do? I'm agreeing with Nikita. Like, this is my other campaign besides the sneaker balls. We ain't gave out enough book bags, folks. Like, it's time to step this thing up. Like, let's offer tutoring. Let's save that money and give out tutoring or something. Let's work with inside the school system. Everybody can't be giving out book bags now. It's more than enough book bags being given out here. Let's step the game up a little bit more on this. Sorry, Don.
No. Well, let me just comment on that real quick, because what we said was there were so many phenomenal workshops that we had during this WorldCon weekend. We were saying to ourselves, we wish, you know how they do at the amusement park where you're forced to go through the gift shop before you can leave? Like, that's how you exit. That basically we wish that people were forced to go through the workshops, to sit through the financial literacy workshops and investment workshops and all those things before they could get their free stuff. Because you're right. Like, what's the next level? Is the message that just come and get your free stuff? I mean, when do you become the giver versus the receiver? Like, when does that cycle happen? So excellent point. The book bag giveaway thing is on steroids, and we need to go to another level with that. So yeah, I can't agree with you more. In terms of, thank you, Erica, for bringing up to Project 2025. If you all aren't aware, on this Monday at 7 p.m., MSNBC will start a series to unravel Project 2025. If you don't have time to dissect it and read all the things, there's so much in there that affects. I mean, I have a friend that's a romance novel author. Her entire life she's written over 100 romance novels, and they're all gathering because there's going to be such a ban on their books based on content. I mean, there's something in there that probably affects every single person. that you can imagine. So I just encourage people to watch on Monday at 7 so that you can understand what's going on with Project 2025. To Nikita's point, Nikita, I just wish that we can just have 100 tips. And every day on social media, we give one of those tips that you just gave for everyone to promote, to focus on. Like find somebody, in your neighborhood, make sure they're registered to vote. I have friends that kids are gathering at her house and she's checking. Let me see. You want coming over here to play, to swim? Let me see your voter registration card. If you don't have one, that's what we're doing today. You're not swimming today. I mean, we really need to go that deep in terms of making sure, I told my daughter, honey, when you get here on August 1st, first thing you need to do is to make sure that you have your absentee ballot because she lives 7 hours away. So I know you're not coming back here. So our kids who are going away to college, let's make sure that they are prepared to vote. So all the things, we need to be thinking about these things now because we tend to do these things a week before and then it's too late. So I just hope that we can kind of collectively get together and think about what those tips are. And that's what we start promoting on social media, texting, all the things. So grateful to hear all the things that you just shared, Nikita. I'll be rewatching this and taking down notes and texting them and sending them out to friends and family. But exactly those things, Lamont, that's what we're going to have to do in order to get people to turn out to vote. We're going to have to engage and remind and ask questions and hold people, feet to the fire. That's what it's going to take.
Oh,
I was
excellent.
going to add this, that, and I'm glad we had this towards the end because now it sparked another idea that not only do we need voter registration drives, we need absentee ballot, fill out the form drives so that the people that cannot get out to vote, we focus so much on that, and then people don't want to, it's easy just to go on there and register, but then people don't want to do the extra step for the absentee ballots. So I think that we need to push that more in assisting people with actually filling out the absentee ballots so that they can get their ballot at home, especially our sick and shut in. Our college students, which are a major group of people right now that can influence things, and even maybe going to like places like Winthrop to make sure that kids that are here from out of state or out of the area that won't be traveling home, that they requested their absentee ballot. So then that way, if they go home on fall break, that it'll already be there.
And just
or the parents can mail it to them and they get it back or whatever that needs to be done. I think that, targeting college students, even like at Winthrop, that's staying on campus and out of town people and not just local.
Yes. So with that being said, when you do an absentee ballot, one person can take back 8 absentee ballots for any given people. So there is a process. You have to request to receive the absentee ballot. Then you have to sign a request to say that this person can take my absentee ballot back in. And that person can take up to 8 people. So, if one person take 8 absentee ballots back to the voting location, just imagine what that can do, how it can change things. So yeah, that is a great thing to do. And nursing home, don't forget our nursing home people. They still have a right to vote.
Let's not forget, the trickery that's about to happen because believe all this excitement has people strategizing about, okay, people may turn out to vote. Let's see what we can do on the other end. So I think we need to make sure that we know that our polling places haven't changed. Let's, I'll be calling you, Nikita, to find out how do we check this stuff? How do we verify this stuff? I've had people say that, the last time that they went to vote, they went one place and it was no longer that place. So we got to remind people to check and to recheck and to double check to make sure that they don't get caught up in a situation where, it's down to the wire and they don't know where to go to vote.
And also, if you have not voted in the last 2 primaries, I think it is, either the last two or the last primary, they can deactivate your voter registration card. So you have to make sure that you're still in the system to vote, because if not, you'll have to reapply to become a registered voter. So I'm going to say, if you haven't voted since 2016, please go ahead and fill out that voter registration form so that you can ensure that you're able to vote on November the 5th.
Um, uh, Nikita, correct me if I'm wrong. Is it scvotes.org where they can
Yes.
check this information? If Lamont, if I can put that on the chat or whatever, so that people understand that it's not as complicated or it's not a long application. You can register to vote in less than 2 minutes.
Yes.
That's for some very basic information, because some people, when they say register to vote, they thinking they got to fill out a whole application that could take them time, and they need to understand that it's a very simple process. And now with the scvotes.org online, it makes it even easier. It keeps it up real time, that you will know where your precinct is. You can check for other people if they give you their information or if they need their voters registration number. So I think that going to the scvotes.org website, people will see how easy it is to, actually go through this process and to actually do it. And I've even, gotten people's information just keyed it in for them. So to make it easy that they could, sign up virtually online. I'm doing the last election, I just had people to call me and I did it online for them.
It takes you longer to log on Facebook than it actually takes you to vote. I mean, to register to be a registered voter.
I think now that, like Dawn was saying, that there's going to be some strategies, and if you don't remember your government economics course,
that's right.
These times are going to make everything that you read about that you never heard come into action. And when they had a balance of powers and all the stuff that you learned in 12th grade that you never seen play out is going to play out.
And if we can get some Schoolhouse Rock videos, because people used to TikTok and having things broken down, we got to transform a little bit. So we can get some videos that break things down and make it easy. Whatever we can do, we need to do it all.
And let me say this
and I will say the York County Democratic Party headquarters are open Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. So you can either stop by or you can call. The number is 803-327-4222, and you can call the headquarters and we'll have someone there that can answer any and all of your questions.
Let me say this again, as people are watching, a lot of people watch on replay during the week. Share, definitely, because it's such important content. We do relationship shows sometimes, and we might get 200 comments in 30 minutes because people like, that kind of excitement. And we found that when we have serious conversations about things people really need to be doing in their lives, yeah, it's a little different. So you ladies are putting out some powerful information. And like I said from the beginning, we have three powerful ladies in our community that are really, really doing a lot of things. And to prove that point, I brought up this book bag thing saying what I don't like. Dawn follows up. And then AJ Michael's like, oh, good point, Dawn. Like, good point, Dawn. What are you doing? But I get it. It's the political game, right, AJ? I can't do nothing for you. Dawn is holding financial workshops. Maybe you're going to get your insurance cheaper. I don't know. But we got to stop this trickery and foolishness as we're moving forward. Good gracious. Oh, man. Thank you, AJ, for that comment that made my day. Erica, let me ask you this question. As we are rolling into the last 100 days of political cycle, how do we protect our mental and businesses? Because, the number one rule is not to get fired. There's some people going to get fired over this political season. Like, they're going to get fired because they don't know how to refrain from some off-color race remark or off-color sexist remark. How do we refrain from that in your mind?
Silence is golden.
Okay, all right, that's a good advice. I
May
mean,
it be your fingers or your mouth.
that sounds like Michelle Obama again. All right, Don, how do we refrain from number one rule, not getting fired?
After 5.
After
Just like you used to tell your kids, meet me on the playground. I see you at the 5. Let's do happy hour.
Nikita,
Pick
you
and
juggling
choose
a
your,
lot of hats.
yeah, pick and choose your battles. That's all I can say, and be able to accept the consequences that come along with it, because they will come.
Marlon, Michelle Obama and got to these ladies. They were strong. How do we prevent from getting fired?
You talking about speaking on this stuff on the job?
Yeah,
My audio kind of went out, so I
Yes,
didn't
sir.
catch the question.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Being very careful, sir. I have to agree with Nikita. Pick and choosing your battle. I think, like Dawn said, let's meet somewhere after work, because a lot of these things end up being in a gray area, particularly when it comes to religion and politics. It can get a little sticky. Unfortunate in these positions, but and just to piggyback to Lamont, as far as with the vote before my system started acting a little weird, I would say, I agree with a lot what the panel was stating, but I do always impress upon my kids, don't depend on social media, don't depend on the news outlets to educate you as far as whether you're choosing to get out and vote. You know what I'm saying? Educate yourself. You read these things like y'all talked about Project 25, just don't let that be a phrase in your head. Go read it. Yeah, it's a lot to it, but go read it and see how it can affect you. And I guess I'll pose to Nikita, who's in politics. How do we address the people that have voted and still felt like it didn't make a difference or nothing changed for them in their lives? And I think that's a battle that we go up against every election season as well, because people feel like their vote will not make a difference at all because they didn't see a change.
Well, I hear that all the time. And the one thing that I want to say, I think we need to start getting a concerted effort to decide who we want to make decisions for us. Because at the end of the day, the elected official, the politicians work for the people. We don't work for the politicians, and we got to understand that. Going back to what Erica said, understand the fundamentals of government. It has been twisted so that the politicians think that the people work for them, and there have been concerted efforts amongst several groups who say, hey, let's get together and let's have this candidate, because this candidate will speak for us. This candidate will work for us. And that's what we have to do. The other side do it. Why don't we do it? Why can't we work together to elect the person that's going to have our best interests at heart? You know how you do it? You got your business owners, you got your community leaders, you have people who are influential and who can change the dynamics of politics if we just start working together. And that's how we do that. We have to elect the person or the people that's going to work for us, and not just allowing anybody to put their name on the ballot to say, hey, I want to be your elected official, I want to be your city council member, county council member, all of that. You have to now start working towards electing the person who's going to work on behalf of the people.
No, as we get ready to round out the show, I'm gonna go around with final comments. I do want to thank everyone who's watching, joining, listening, our special guest that's on, because man, we can live in a cruel world, and when you're uninformed about what's going on around you, it could kick real hard when you start talking about your benefits and grandma's check short and all this stuff, because you haven't been paying attention as things have been changing around you, or your property tax is now shot up because they've changed some rule. So voting is very important. Don mentioned that, it's more than just the presidential election. Our down ballot elections on who you vote and represent you are so important. So I'll start with you, Erica. Any final advice or final viewpoints?
let's all do our part of what we can to encourage people to register to vote. Not only register to vote, but if there's a absentee ballot needed, making sure people are educated about the whole felony issue, that if you fulfilled your commitment to the government, you are now eligible to vote again. Educating people on Project 2025, I think, is going to be the key to the eye opener for these people that say that my vote does not count, what goes on does not affect me. I think if not now, when will you get that? If you highlight those particular issues that's within 2025 that they can see that will directly affect their everyday life. And so now, and I'm glad that you had me here. So you're gonna be seeing Facebook posts. I'm gonna do some drawings for people that college students to give them stuff, gift cards and stuff to go back to school if they do get their absentee ballot done. To do some more things with our church, to do some more things with collecting the absentee ballots and getting them back to where they're supposed to be, because that is going to be very major in this upcoming election, and to do our part to recruit people to vote.
And Erica, let me say this: our platform is always open and willing to support any endeavors, any actions you have. Same with you, Nikita. Same with you, Don. Y'all big time. Y'all don't need our little platform to showcase anything. But we are here, and we want to keep people as educated as possible and as aware as possible. So definitely anything you want to do in conjunction, I'm more than in favor, and the rest of our definition. You got any final thoughts?
Just from me, being your York County Democratic Party chair, a delegate to the DNC, y'all, our lives truly depend on this upcoming election. As Erica said, the writing is on the wall with Project 2025. Get your cousin, your uncle, Bebe, Kiki, all of them, y'all. We have to get out and get our family members, our friends out to vote, because if not, it was already said, we're going backwards, y'all. They're taking away so many of our rights that was fought for us 50, 60 years ago. Those rights are being taken away from us on a day-to-day basis. And with Project 2025, so many more of our inalienable rights are going to be taken away from us. If you have never voted before in your life, this is the time to vote.
All right. Marlon, any final thoughts, final advice? Once you come off mute, see, these women got you so shook, you don't even.
Hey, great show. Great points on the show. I just have to agree with everyone on the show. Just once again, educate yourself. You do make a difference. Please get out, vote. Even if you have your friends, your influential circle, things like that. Make sure that you are being an influencer and letting them know it will make a difference. Like Nikita keeps repeating, our lives do depend on this. So I hope everyone, was able to maybe take a nugget away from this show. And if you took anything away, is please, don't sit on the sidelines thinking that you don't make a difference, because you do.
And Don, we saved you for last, since people out there giving you credit for stuff I'm saying. And again, I'm taking this personal. We got to do better. Yeah.
We're all in this together, Lamont.
All right, Don. Any final advice?
Couple of things. Remember, Hitler was real. I remember going to the Holocaust Museum, and they interviewed people and said, how were you a part of allowing this to happen? People who are in leadership positions. And they said, well, we didn't really think that he was going to do all those things. Like, almost like they didn't take it seriously. That it was so ridiculous. They didn't take it seriously. So we have someone who is telling people that when they vote this election, this could possibly be the last time that they would have to vote because of the things that he plans to do. Like, Hitler was real. So, and there are people who still have that mindset. So let's not sleep on the possibilities. Number two, take the emotion out of it, and we got to be strategic. Even with the school board elections, I'm, talking to some people and trying to get some people to have conversation. In the last election, there was a person who was running, and when she realized that her vote base was going to be split, she went to someone else who had filed and talked them out of running, so that because they were going to have the same groups of people that they thought would be in the same voting, and they backed out. They said, okay, you have the greater chance of winning, so I'm going to back out. I think we need to have similar conversations. I found it a little disheartening when, I was encouraging some conversations to happen and some people were taking a stance. Well, let them run their race and I'll run mine, but let's think of the bigger picture. If you all have the same base, you both are guaranteed to lose. So why not have a conversation ahead of time and let the best person, we have primaries for that reason, right? So I think we need to think strategically for some of these other seats, the way that the bigger machine operates. And lastly, do something. To Erica's point, find your thing that you can do. Everyone can do something. No matter how busy you are, you can maybe, make some phone calls. You can send out 10 texts before you go to bed. There's something that you can do to, say that you were part of making sure that, we didn't go backwards. So yeah, those are my parting words and comments. Oh, and I would like to make a request, Lamont, that if we could be, if you can pencil in one of your shows to have school board people in our community that might be running.
Absolutely. This is my opinion on stuff and certain conversations I've had within our community, especially our leadership and within the community. People are afraid to go on record on how they really feel and talk about stuff. They might get in their circle, their pocket, and have conversations. They're going to vote this, vote that. But when people have an opportunity to say it out loud, they get a little shaky. I commend all three of you for coming on and getting on loud. Don, I'm all for organizing. I know during the York County Sheriff's election, Attorney Twana Burris did an amazing job organizing. And regardless how it turned out, people got educated in the process and people voted. So I'm all for that. Our strategy probably needs to be a little different because sometimes you can become so polarized and people not caring who the candidate are, they're voting against you because you're the one that's speaking the loudest. Yeah. So we also have to be smart also. I really appreciate the conversation that we've had tonight, the dialogue. One of the things I keep thinking about on a serious note, being so connected to Black churches, Black churches are struggling with a conversation of female leadership as a whole. And it scares me to think any influence that comes from the Black church about female leadership might not be the way you think it's going to go. And we really need to have realistic conversations on who leads the flock per se. And have those conversations in a meaningful way, not to tear anyone down, but to really have that, to understand, who's leading us as a whole. So I want to say thank you. I want to say happy anniversary early to Everett Abel and his wife, who will celebrate next week their anniversary. And I really appreciate what all the Higher Definition team does in the background, Marlon, Tia, Everett, everything they do, because it's so important to get positive information out with positive people. We will continue this fighting journey. We will have a follow-up conversation to this one to talk about more voting and how we can continue to educate ourselves over the next 100 days. So with that, I'll say have a blessed and safe week. Have a blessed and safe night. And really, sincerely, ladies, thank you for providing this conversation and guidance for the night. Thank you. And Marlon,
thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, ladies. I appreciate everything you do.
Have a blessed night, everyone.
Have a good night.